Hey, what's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. We've got another episode of Guitar Tours going, and this time it's actually a friend of mine and also one of the most badass guitar players that I know or that exists, really. It's Guthrie Trapp.
Hey guys.
What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I heard someone
that.
once say, holy crap, it's Guthrie Trapp.
Todd Sharp, I bet.
That was it. Yeah, Todd Sharp, who we filmed an episode with. So we're hanging out at Eastside Music Supply, and they have all the pedals.
They've got all of them. You know, this is so funny. I live about literally 4 minutes from here, and this is the first time I've been in here. I've been meaning to stop by forever. This is a very cool store.
Yeah, and we also want to thank Eastside Music Supply for letting us shoot here.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice guys.
If you're in the Nashville area and you're doing your guitar Mecca tour, definitely come in here. You want to come in here. Anyone that isn't familiar with you yet, you're one of the premier guitar players in Nashville, which is saying a lot because we're in the city of music where all the best musicians are. And Guthrie's right there, right at the top, you guys. So we're honored to have you here.
Thanks a lot, man.
Let's just talk about, just what you do a little bit, who you're playing with, some of the things you've done. I mean, you play acoustic, you play mandolin, you play, obviously, full on guitar. You play with, you were just playing with John Oates a bunch lately?
Right, yeah. We used to do the Telluride Bluegrass Festival. Of course, they had guys like David Byrne, but it was, a great festival. We used to do it all the time with Jerry, and I met John at one of the late night jams, like the end of the night jam with 20 people on stage. I was on one end of the stage, Oates was on the other. After that, I walked off stage, and Oates walks over to me, and he hands me this guitar, and he goes, hey man, I don't know what to do with this anymore. He goes, man, I want you to have this. To be honest with you, I didn't know who Hall & Oates was. I've never heard Hall & Oates. I heard their hits on the radio without knowing it.
Yeah.
But my parents didn't listen to the radio or Top 40 or anything like that. And Sam Bush and Jerry are standing behind him going, take the guitar, take the guitar. And I'm like, who is this guy? And so then we ended up playing and got to be really good friends. And man, I can't say enough good things about John, man. Super, super guy.
You do tons of sessions, yeah?
I do a handful, yeah. People don't call me to do real commercial music or heavy pop stuff because it's not my bag. I think that I kind of excel at the things that I really enjoy playing.
Yeah.
I'm not good at faking it.
And
everybody in town by now knows that. So I get called to do things that I'm good at.
You also have an educational side to you.
Mm-hmm. I got into teaching because people, I didn't set out to do it, but years ago, some guys started asking, like, hey man, do you give lessons? I want to learn how to do some chicken picking stuff. Just out of necessity and going, hey man, I can make some extra cash teaching some lessons. Okay, great, I'll show these guys something. And then after doing that for years, I've been approached to do more and more, and it's kind of turned into a good thing. And I've gotten better at it. I feel I'm not a great teacher, but I feel like I've gotten better at teaching.
Oh, reps. Nothing beats the repetition of doing stuff.
And making me a better, more confident guitar player on the fingerboard because I'm having to break down things that I've been doing for 30 years.
Yeah, like deconstruct things.
Deconstructing things and going, things that are second nature to us now. I've noticed, like, if I teach for 3 days in a row or something, and I go to a gig, I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I'm more confident as a player.
But how can people find your education stuff? What's out there?
The thing that I've been doing for going on 5 years, I got approached by this company called Artist Works, online guitar education, but it's they have video exchanges. So there's a full curriculum on there. I do the country guitar, but it's not limited to that by any means. It's my curriculum and all the fundamentals that changed my life as a kid. Great company. They've got a bunch of great teachers, guys that I love: Brian Sutton, Paul Gilbert, Mike Marshall, John Patitucci, Nathan East, a bunch of great guys. I've got about 700 students all around the world. As you go through the curriculum, you can submit a video to me that I get in my queue, and then I respond to it. So, any questions that anybody has, they get a personal response from me. So that's kind of one of the bonuses of that. It's a great company. You should check it out for sure.
Oh, cool. Well, anyway, this is Guitar Tours.
Right.
So we like to talk about the guitars in that you use.
Absolutely.
So right now we've got obviously a Gibson ES-335.
This is a
Okay.
335.
So
I grabbed the case that I thought was my 69 335.
Yeah.
But I pulled this out, and I mean, I'm not disappointed by any means, but this is one that I got from Gibson for doing some videos in Memphis right before that closed down over there. It's relicked a little bit. It's a custom shop from Memphis, and it's like a 59 reissue dot neck, obviously, and it's got a little bit bigger neck. My 69, the reason I like the 69 also is because the neck is a little smaller and it's more reminiscent of my Telecaster, which I've played for years and years, and I'll pull that thing out in a minute. But this is this is a great guitar, and the one Marty's playing, I was listening to him warm up earlier. It sounds fantastic. These guys are building great guitars.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a good guitar. The thing about gear to me is it's not to be obsessed over and to be a distraction from learning how to really play the guitar. It's meant to be inspiring, and it's meant to, the reason why we want good gear is so we don't have to think about the limitations of it, so we can just make music.
Do you find yourself, you play tellies more than the 335, or?
I've gotten now to where, like I was talking earlier about this, taking different instruments to sessions, and I do have a handful of stuff I'll take, like I've got a Jerry Jones baritone, which they don't make those anymore. I've got a great P bass, which I'll play every once in a while. I've got a great mandolin that Sim Daly built. And then I've got a handful of guitars that I love, but I've sold a lot of stuff. I don't even own a Strat. I don't own a Gretsch.
What?
I mean, there's some things that I know.
That's good.
So if I go to a session these days, I mean, I'm lazy. I grab the little amp that's closest to the door. I grab my telly, my 335, and maybe a couple other things like a resonator, an acoustic. I got some old Gibson acoustics that record really well that I love. But I've never spent more than $4,000 on a guitar. My mandolin is the most expensive instrument that I own. It was like $5,500, and I think I got it for $5,000. But I've never spent a lot of money on guitars. If you look at my pedal board, it's very small and compact. I mean, I used to have a giant pedal board with all this stuff on it, and I learned that I sound the same with all that stuff as I do with one pedal. And basically, reverb is my favorite effect. So when I go to play guitar, electric guitar, it sounds like an electric guitar. I'm not doing organ sounds. I'm not doing, and I love some of that stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's, you know, and I'll do more of that. But for right now, like, this is my kind of bare bones tuner, RC boost, clean boost, vintage Nobles that's been rehoused, the T-Rex tremolo that they don't make anymore, and then the Brigadier delay. And I use these effects very sparingly.
So you got this custom shop 335.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm a big admirer of your guitar playing.
well, thank you,
So
man.
You want to just go nuts for a little bit on that thing?
Sure.
I think everyone would dig it. my favorite colors, if not my favorite Fender color. I mean, or is that surf green or is that?
Okay, you want to know the official color of this?
Yeah.
So this guitar has a really interesting story, but the color is Chrysler Pale Blue.
Yeah.
It's automotive paint, and so it's faded. It used to be more blue, and now it's got more green to it.
Yeah.
So the color changed from when it was new, but it's very thin. The guy that made this guitar is kind of known in Nashville. He used to work at Glazier's.
Yep.
Instrument repair.
We did an episode at his shop.
Awesome. Yeah, good friends of mine. Glazier's awesome. Floyd used to work at Glazier's, and he built guitars on the side. No website, no advertisement. If you look at this guitar, there's no name, there's no serial number, there's no markings of any kind on this guitar.
So what do we call it?
I call it the Floyd.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Floyd. This guitar I've had for probably 15 or 16 years. It's made out of redwood. It's very light. And he built this guitar. He was in his workshop and he looked outside and he saw this compost pile that he had, and it was binned in, fenced in. And he goes, God, all that redwood out there. He goes, why don't I build a compost pile with this redwood? So he went down and tore the compost bin down, and he built a bunch of guitars out of the redwood, and this is one of them. So this wood came from a compost pile that he built the guitar out of, right? And he made the neck. It's not parts. He made everything. And it's just always been my favorite Telecaster. I finally had to have it refretted a couple years ago, which kind of changed it a little bit. It kind of freaked me out. But now I've kind of gotten back to it and been playing it again. I just love the guitar. It's not fancy. Well, I think I paid like $750 for this guitar. And so it's not worth anything, but it's also priceless at the same time because it's a one of a kind.
Yeah.
Right?
If you don't mind, just do your thing, man.
Sure, man.
Do your thing.
Let's
People want to
see.
hear it. I know you're huge on chord shapes. Basically, what's called the cage system? You know, the chord shapes.
Right, which I just learned a couple years ago that's what it was
What
called.
you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. You were doing it right.
Okay, thanks.
Since there's so many different chord shapes, so many different things, I want to take something that's practical for people. If I just played this E7 chord, because a lot of people were playing blues out there and stuff, maybe you could show 2 or 3 little concepts when you see this E7 chord right here. Like, how do you, 2 or 3 little tips for people?
The reason why I preach about the chord shapes is a very simple concept to me. The chord is the foundation of everything that you're hearing. That's the information that I'm hearing when you play that chord is, that's what it is. That's what we're hearing. Without that, we have this, right? So you have to, when you commit to that chord, I'm actually hearing what it is. It tells me when he plays that chord, I'm hearing an E dominant 7 chord, which means it's got the major third and the flat 7 and the 1, right? That's a triad. That's how I know that that's what that is. So when I hear that, I know that you cannot play the major pentatonic or the minor pentatonic solely over that chord, because you're hearing the major third and the flat 7, which at that point you have to introduce some new harmonic content, which means the notes that change in the chord that you're playing or that the band is playing behind you or whatever, those are the notes you have to change when you're playing lead guitar. That's why the chords are directly related to single note lead guitar. So the more you spend learning these giant chord shapes and can pick those apart with triads and learning that information, the better you're going to be at playing single note lead guitar. Because when the chord changes, you're outlining that chord. You're not changing keys, but for a minute, if you're in A and it goes to D, for a split second, you have to outline that chord because those are the notes that you're hearing. That's your foundation, right? So it's a simple concept, but it takes a little bit of groundwork, right? So when he plays that chord, I'm wanting to outline, instead of E major, I'm throwing in the flat 7. So the chord is the foundation. The arpeggio is the first level of framework. Then and you can't really, I can't show you a pentatonic over that because it's a dominant 7 chord. But what I use is the only mode that I know is the Mixolydian mode, which is basically what I call a dominant 7 scale, which is the major scale, but flatting the 7. So what you have is over major and major 7, you can use the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 is your octave. That works over major and major 7. As soon as you go to the dominant 7, you have to flat that 7, so you get this. Which that incorporates your 1, the flat 7, and back to the 1, and your major 3rd. So it's the rub between the major 3rd and the flat 7 that's what gives you that sound. So if I go to A7, the 4 chord, I can play A major with the flat 7 over it. If I go to B7, the 5 chord, I can play and then it resolves. You're only 1 fret away from resolving in either direction on those chords by the flat 7. So if I play this flat 7, there's your A7, there's your E, B, there's your 1. So it's the major 3rd, the flat 7, the 1, and the 5, your chord tones that you want to be targeting when you're playing. And that's why when he says it sounds a little bit more like bebop, when we're playing over a 1, 6, 2, 5 chord change, I'm outlining. If I just did this, that's a simple baseline way of playing over that chord. But if I do that, you know immediately that's that chord because I'm outlining the 1, the 3, and the 5.
Those are opening jam chords.
That's the opening jam chords.
Yeah.
And Marty was playing E to C sharp. See, that's how much I know. And then the
F
2
sharp, 7, yeah.
to the 5. So if
All dominant.
right.
Yeah.
So if I play this, playing over those chords and I'm keeping it right here. So the cage system, you should really see the triads. Like I'll take E and just go 1, 4, 5 up the neck on 3 strings. And then once you see that that's how the cage system works, it really starts unlocking the guitar because you don't want to just be able to play your 1, 4, 5 down here. You want to be able to play it. Want to know kind of a little bit of what you're doing. Right?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Anyway, that's my take on the importance of the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And it's not knowing every note on your fingerboard or all the scales and all that stuff. It's knowing the chord and the shapes and the sounds that go along with it.
Guthrie Trap. Holy crap.
Second piece silent.
Second piece silent. Don't forget.
Oh, man.
You guys, check out Guthrie out there in the world. You can look him up on social media platforms. He's got lessons on and education on artist works and just all around badass on guitar and a swell
Marty.
guy.
Thanks for having me.
With great taste.
Well, thanks.
You know, we've had some drinks and dinners and it's always top notch.
Thank you.
So thank you again. And we're going to just end with one more jam. And just thanks again for watching, you guys. And also real quick, thank you to East Side Music Supply for letting us jam here. You got to check them out as well. So Till next time.